video, we are going to learn an important topic in polymer chemistry, that is plastics, with special emphasis on thermoplastics and thermosetting polymers. Plastics play a major role in our daily life, from kitchen utensils to electrical applicants, from medical equipment to automobile parts. So, understanding the types of plastics helps us to choose the right material for the right applications. So, we are going to detailed study about thermoplastics and thermosettings. Okay, what are plastics? So, plastics are the synthetic polymers which can be molded into different shapes by the application of heat and pressure. That is called plastics. You have to apply some heat and pressure, then we have to design it into different types of shapes. That is called it as plastics. So plastics are high molecular weight polymeric materials that can be molded into desired shapes and retain the shape after cooling. Okay, so once we have to give the temperature and pressure, we have to shape into the material. After cooling, the shape will be retained. That is called it as a plastics. Okay, so what are the general properties of plastics? Is a low density plastics also available. Then good electrical insulations, resistance to corrosion and chemicals, easily moldable, economical and durable. So these are the general properties of polymers. And based on the behavior on heating, the plastics are classified into thermoplastics and thermosettings. Okay. So before we are going to enter the deep discussions of thermoplastics and thermosettings, we should know what is plastics. So we know that, we came to know that is plastics are high molecular weight polymeric materials which should molded into desired shapes and retain the shape after cooling. Once we have to give that heat and pressure, and it should be converted or molded into one desired shape. After cooling, it retains the same shape. That is called it as plastics. Okay. So this plastic should be classified into two types, very important plastics, that is thermoplastics and thermosettings plastics. Okay. In our day-to-day life, we are using these two types of plastics only, thermoplastics as well as thermosetting plastics. Okay. So first one is thermoplastics polymers. What is thermoplastics? Thermoplastics are plastics that soften on heating and harden on cooling. So this is the important term or key term to remember, that is thermoplastics are plastics that soften on heating, harden on cooling. This process can be repeated many times. That is called it as thermoplastics. This means thermoplastics are recyclable. So these plastics, once we should used, it's again should be reusable. That is recyclable. So what about the molecular structure of thermoplastics is? It should be linear or it may be slightly branched chain polymers. And also it should be a weak intermolecular force in between the polymers. There is no cross-linking present in the thermoplastics. Once heated, the chain slides over each other, making the plastic soft. Once we are start to heat, the polymer chain should be, that is the polymers, the plastic should be soft. Okay, so what are the properties of thermoplastics is, it can be softened repeatedly. If you heated frequent number of times, if you are increasing to heat, the material should be again and again get softened. Okay, then recyclable. This type of plastics are recyclable. And also it is very important character, it is flexible and also a toughest one. Okay. And also it's a lower melting point. Why it should be called as a lower melting point? Because of there is no cross-linking. That means no number of carbon atom is less. It is a linear or slightly branched polymer. So it's easily breaking the chain and it should be easily get the, by lower melting point, it gets or it arises. it arrived. It can be reshaped and remolded. These type of plastics are we can by giving the heat and pressure, it can be reshaped and remolded. Okay. So here there are some examples they given to know the thermoplastics. The first one is polyethylene. So it is used in carry bags, bottles, containers. Okay. So as well as the pipes also. Okay. So pipes, water bottles, bags, containers. That is called it as a polyethylene. That is called it as a polyethylene. The second example is polyvinyl chloride. So examples of polyvinyl chlorides are pipes, cables, raincoats. Okay, so toys as well as the bowl, the serving plates, then raincoats, tapes, balls, pipe. These are the some examples of polyvinyl chloride. Okay, so polystyrene, that is disposable cups and thermocol. These are the examples of the polystyrene plastics. Okay, so these are the materials like toys, raincoat, tape, ball, pipes, carry bags, water bottles. These are the materials we are using in our daily life. Okay, so that is called as a thermoplastics polymers. Okay, so the next one is examples of polypropylene, chairs, automotive parts, chairs. These are some examples of the thermoplastics, that is polypropylene polymers. The nylon, that is fibers, ropes, these are the another type of the polymers. This ropes, fibers, plastics, these are the another type of thermoplastics. Okay, so this thermoplastics are used in the main purposes. It's used in the packaging materials, food, water bottle, carry things, packing the materials. Then also it is also used in the household articles. In our daily today life, we are carrying the each and everything we are buying in the carry bags. Household articles. Then electrical insulations, wiring, cable, insulations. These are the characters. Okay. Thermo thermoplastics, excuse me. Thermoplastics are used in the electrical insulations. And also it is used in the medical syringe. And also it is used in the toys and containers. And also it is used in the toys and containers. Okay. The next one is thermosetting plastics. What is thermosetting plastics? Thermosetting plastics are plastics that become permanently hard on heating and cannot be softened again. But in case of what we seen in the before, in case of thermoplastics, it can be softened on heating, hardened on cooling in case of thermoplastics. Just opposite to thermosettings, once it should be once it should be heat, it should be permanently hard. Okay, again, it cannot be softened case. That is called it as thermosettings. Okay, once molded, they cannot be reshaped. The simple word we can say is once it should be molded, they cannot be reshaped. Okay, so what about the molecular structure of the thermosetting polymers is highly cross-linked polymer chains. Okay, it should be very branched and cross-linked polymer should be present in this type of plastics. It should be strong covalent bonds and also it's a rigid three-dimensional network. Okay, heating causes chemical bonding, making the structure permanently rigid. Okay, so once the structure should be reshaped, it should be permanently rigid. Okay? So it's the main characters or main properties of thermosetting polymers are it should be hard and rigid, high thermal stability. Why it should be called it as high thermal stability? Because it is a class-linked polymers. That means number of carbon atoms and number of monomers should be in high content. So once it start to heat, it takes time to melt. So it is the high thermal. It needs high thermal stability. It needs high thermal range. Okay. So it is non-recyclable. Once we have to use it, we have to throw it. Okay, it's not a recyclable because if it is eaten, it should be hardened. It cannot be softened case. So it should be a non-recyclable material. Resistance to heat and chemicals. Okay, these type of materials are resist the heat as well as the chemicals. And also it has high mechanical strength because of cross-linked polymers. Number of carbon atom is high. So it should be a strong material or strong plastics. So the mechanical strength also very high. In below, there are given a variety of examples for the thermosetting plastics. First one is backlight. Backlight is nothing but the combination of phenol and formaldehyde is called as a backlight. So it is used in the electrical switches, plugs. So in electrical areas, that is backlight should be used. In household articles, we can use this type of items in electrical switches, plugs. Okay. The next one is urea formaldehyde resin. The next one is urea formaldehyde resins. It is used in the case of adhesives and plywood. Okay, so plywood sheets, how they are manufactured. So from the cotton, from the plant that is cotton, it should be converted into cotton seeds. From the cotton seeds, it should be converted into by applying the oil extraction. It is converted into a cotton thread mill. So it should be again by applying some chemicals, and it should be converted into a hybrid adhesive, that is in the case of colloidal form, and it should be converted into the manufacturing process of wood board, that is plywood materials. It should be converted into a plywood materials by applying the urea formaldehyde resin. This synthesis undergoes by applying some polymers. It should be converted into a plywood material. So this is the second examples of thermosetting polymers. Then third one is epoxy resins. Third examples of epoxy resins. This polymer should be used in the coatings, adhesives, and composites. Okay, by applying the paint in the wall and like thinner lubricant. Likewise, it should be added in the adhesives and coatings. Okay. Melamine and formaldehyde polymers, it should be crockery and laminates by decoration articles, plywood materials, laminate sheets. It should be prepared by this type of thermoplastics thermosetting materials like melamine and formaldehyde thermosettings. Okay. So what are the uses of thermosetting polyplastics? It should be electrical fittings, heat resistant components, adhesives and coatings, and automobile parts and circuit boards. So it should be from morning to evening, what we are using in our life, it should be used in the thermosettings polymers. Okay. So these are the uses of thermosettings polymers. The next one is comparison of thermoplastics and thermosettings. In many of the semester question paper, you can be able to see that write the difference between thermoplastics and thermosettings. Okay. So what about the heating effect of thermoplastics? Soften on heating, harden on heating. Soften on heating. But in case of thermosetting plastics, it should be permanently or it not be reshaped. Okay. It should be reshaped. It cannot be reshaped. What about the recyclability? Thermoplastics are recyclable one. Thermosettings are non-recyclable one. About the structures of thermoplastics, this should be linear or slightly branched polymers. But in case of thermosettings, it should be a cross-linked polymers. Regarding strength, thermoplastics are moderate one, but in case of thermosetting plastics, it should be a high one. So for examples of thermoplastics, the main example is polyvinyl chloride, polyethylene. In case of thermosettings, backlight and epoxy resins. So some examples they given here for thermoplastics and thermosettings. Okay. So it is an important one. What are the thermoplastics and thermosettings? Okay. So what we come to know this video, that is thermoplastics are flexible, recyclable, and widely used in everyday products. In case of thermosetting plastics are rigid, heat resistant, and used where strength and durability are required. Okay. So understanding these plastics help in material selection, environmental awareness, and industrial applications. So thank you. We will meet in the next video. Thank you all.